This video will show the calibration process for the force and the pressure transducers on the 112 pp pressure myograph system. We will start with the pressure calibration and then do the force calibration. In order to perform the pressure calibration, you will need the Big bin pressure manometer and the calibration shunt, which came with your system. The force calibration requires the calibration kit that came with this particular system. This includes the calibration bridge, which is specific for the pressure myographs, the T-balance, and the 2-gram weight. To start the pressure calibration, you will need to access the pressure calibration menu on the touchscreen. Go into Settings and then Pressure Calibration. Step 1 asks you to follow the pressure calibration procedure in the user manual, which we will go over here. You need to make sure that the pressure interface to chamber cable is connected. You need to have the tubing from the P2 port to the P2 three-way valve on the chamber is connected. You also need to ensure that the P2 bottle cap is securely tightened, as well as all 4 screws on the 112 pressure chambers. Now we need to connect the Big bin manometer to the P1 three-way valve. We will also need to put the calibration shunt in place on the chamber. The right side will go down to the metal port coming from the P1 side. The left side will replace the tubing, leaving the P2 cannula. Disconnect the P1 cannula tubing. Disconnect the P2 cannula tubing and put the calibration shunt in place. The last thing to check are the three-way valves on either side of the chamber. You need to make sure that the valve is pointing to the open side of the three-way valve. The P2 three-way valve will be closed to the port that's pointed down. When everything is properly in place, you can proceed to the next step on the pressure calibration menu. Step 2 asks us to apply 50 millimeters of mercury of pressure using the Big bin manometer. If pressure is not holding when you add from the Big bin manometer, you have a leak somewhere. You should check the P2 bottle cap, the bleed valves on the pressure wells on the chamber, or the three-way valves. You should see all of the numbers go up similarly. They do not have to be the exact same. Once you have seen them all go up, press Next Step. We should now go to 125 millimeters of mercury of pressure. Again, all of the numbers have gone up a similar increase. Press Next Step. The last step is 200 millimeters of mercury. Again, they have all gone up. We can press Next Step, and all the numbers should be right around 200. Press OK, and pressure will internally release. This will complete the pressure calibration. In order to start the force calibration, you will need to access the force calibration menu on the touchscreen. Go to Settings and then Force Calibration. Again, Step 1 will ask you to follow the procedure in the manual. However, instructions will be provided on the touchscreen. Hit Next Step. Step 2 asks you to place the calibration bridge and T-balance on the chamber. You need to make sure that you are using the calibration bridge specifically for the pressure chambers. This bridge has a gap on one side and a cutout on the other. The cutout will ensure that the bridge goes over the force transducer housing, and the hollow section will go over the tubing if it's necessary. However, on the 112 pp, it will most likely go around the bridge. You will then take the T-balance and you will drop this into the bridge so the plate of the T-balance goes into the grooves on the bridge. You need to move the bridge so that the T-balance will be behind the screw on the P2 cannula mount. When the bridge and T-balance are in place, you can select Next Step. Step 3 asks you to make sure that the chamber is warmed. The calibration is going to be most accurate if the chamber is warmed to 37 degrees Celsius. The transducers are temperature compensated, meaning that they are designed to work at 37 degrees. You can perform the force calibration at room temperature. However, you must make sure that you are not actively warming the chamber while you are doing the calibration. The warming takes about 20 minutes, so make sure that you have either pre-warmed the chamber or leave the heat off. Press next step. Step 4 wants you to make sure that the transducer is not subjected to any force. This 4-digit number should be stable and not drifting in any direction. If it's going back and forth between two numbers, that's fine. Press next step. Step 5 asks you to place a 2-gram weight on the back pan of the T-balance. This will simulate a vessel pulling on the cannula mount. Let this sit for roughly 10 seconds to ensure that any movements have settled. Press next step, and this should be right around 9.81. If it's within plus or minus 0.1, that's fine. Press next step to complete the calibration. For more information on the 112 pp, please refer to the DMT website or additional training videos.